weird season, man. We got people tearing down mountains, people building mountains.
Yeah.
If only we had just picked where we were going to be better in the first place.
Trade base location.
Yeah. I ran into Tango at the Enderman farm. I'm like, so you done with decked out yet? He's like, I'm still building a mountain. I'm like, Tango, you know that the server would help you. And he's like, yeah, I want to do it myself. And I'm like, we really just say that because we want to play decked out faster? And he's like, yeah.
I spoke to him the other day and I said, seriously, like, let's get a HHH together. And he seemed up for it.
I would be down for that.
It's not a secret that his mountain is a schematic.
Yeah, I mean,
we could share that schematic and help him place all those blocks.
Yeah, it'd go pretty fast.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that what he's building is incredible. I love the shading.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
I think most viewers know that a lot of the hermits use Litematica, and I don't really have an issue showing it on screen anymore at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, some people feel a little iffy about like streaming using Litematica. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. Yeah.
And I think
made a
Tango might be in that camp.
I made a conscious effort this season to like get away from using that and free cam on camera. Just for like personal preference, and I kind of like it actually. I find building, if you go back to doing like side-by-side building compared to using a schematic, it's like a little easier on the eyes to look at because the Litematica mods just, it doesn't look very pleasing in the world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. XP has done a good job of tweaking the way his Litematica looks. I noticed when he's streaming, he's definitely put a lot of effort into how it visualizes the blocks that he's placing. Because I was watching one of his streams, and at first I didn't even realize he was using Litematica because he had it so like dialed in that I didn't mind that so much. But yeah, like out of the box default settings in Litematica is like horrible to look at.
Yeah, you got like big magenta color blocks and stuff, and it's like, ooh, yeah, I might have to look into doing that perhaps.
Yeah, I was gonna ask him like if he could share his settings or something, because like even if I wasn't doing it on camera, I'd still prefer to do that. But I haven't been doing a lot of Litematica this season either. I've been trying to just wing it, and because just I don't know, like I started to feel like it was becoming a bit of a crutch, and I wasn't enjoying the creative process as much anymore because it felt like a paint by numbers. Here on the server anyway, right? Like you don't feel as creative even though you've done all the creativity kind of off camera in another world. So I just wanted to get back to my roots, I guess. My builds won't be as good, but at least I'm having more fun.
So yeah, I have an opposing thought on that actually. So my thought on this is I like using it and using all of the features that I possibly can to make my life easier for two reasons. One, helps my workflow so that like I can make better videos, but also it allows me to get builds done faster. That way I can spend more time either helping you guys or just hanging out on the server with other people doing fun stuff. And I'm not spending more and more time building as a result of not having tools that helps me build faster. So
yeah, I think that's super valid too, because like all the building I've been doing is taking at least twice as long.
Yeah,
because it's a lot of like trial and error stuff now.
Yeah, I think it mixes. Like there's some projects where it makes more sense to use it than others.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, building the boats, like there's a lot of complex like shapes and slabs and stairs kind of necessary.
I don't know. I've been trying to draw out my builds more, like just on paper. And, you know, I can do that on my crafting and drawing streams with Cleo on Wednesday morning. So I'm still brainstorming in front of the audience, but it's not just like, okay, I'm going from creative mode to survival mode. I'm like figuring out like how to make it look visually balanced or where things go, but I'm not getting too in the weeds about specific blocks or whatever.
Yeah, the idea of like drawing your builds out before, I think that's really valuable. I haven't myself done that yet, but I'm increasingly finding that by like looking at builds before you set out to like build your own, you start to build up like a collection of things about the build that fit together. If I'm like, okay, I'm gonna build a building and this is its purpose, like I pretty much just have a blank mind. Once I start looking stuff up, it's like, oh yeah, like of course it needs windows because it's a shop, right? And I got to put things in the windows, and then other little details come together, and it makes it so much easier then to start building when you have like purpose and intent in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like looking at Google Maps and like trying to find real places or reference books and stuff like that while I'm in the drawing phase. But I don't necessarily want to be doing that while I'm in the middle of the build. So it kind of gets me like the juices going in the brain. But then when I'm building, I'm kind of like just focused on implementing, you know?
Makes sense.
Yeah, I did something quite interesting actually the other day. I have these 2 towers either side of a glass structure, and I kind of wanted them to be the same, but I didn't know how to make them different if they were going to be the same thing. And then I decided that like one would be abandoned, and so I built an abandoned building, and then I worked backwards from the other one. So I made a copy of it, and then I like added its purpose, and like, you know, because it's like abandoned, it's run down. I like touched it all up and then made it look like it's being used from that point, and that was like a really good exercise for building.
That's cool.
To like work backwards. You could probably
Was
go
that
the
Cub
other
shooting
way
at
as well.
me?
Take a building and then turn it into something that's abandoned.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big part of Dungeons and Dragons dungeon design is like, okay, a lot of times whatever's living in this dungeon now isn't the things that were originally there. Whatever this is being used for now might not have been its original purpose. And so like the traps or different elements of the dungeon should reflect both its original purpose and its current purpose.
Gives it like history, story.
Makes the world feel lived in, you know?
For me, it's like I like using Litematica in creative mode a lot, especially because of my schooling, right? So I'm trained as somebody that wanted to be an architect, so my brain sort of defaults to symmetry, right? Like incremental symmetry, squares, like contractors would use on buildings, like that's, you know, they just kind of burn that into your brain as you go through schooling to be an architect. And so for me, having the ability to set block patterns with world edit and use those tools just makes my life so much easier. I love it. I really do. It may be a crutch, but I like it. Like, I think it.
Have you used Axiom's symmetrical building setup
I have
yet?
not, no. So Axiom is on the list to learn. I really want to learn it. I just haven't had free time yet since we just
Oh,
started.
dude, once you do,
You can
open it up.
learn.
Things.
You can learn stuff in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That will just give you so much productivity.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of like really easy to use surface level tools that are just super effective.
Yeah.
And one of them is like you set up a little symmetry marker, and when you build around it, it will just mirror what you're doing in other directions. It's so cool.
Yeah, because I remember at the beginning of the season when I was making my starter boat, I had to ask about flip mirrors and stuff for World Edit. So I was like, I didn't know about that stuff at the time. So we're gonna have to carve some time out and figure it out.
I would love if we did a group Axiom stream or whatever, where we just get on a server that has Axiom enabled and we just mess around with different tools, have different people in, like maybe say, okay, B-dubs, you're in charge of teaching this tool, and you know, you'll talk for 10 minutes and then we'll mess around for 20. And then, oh, hey, Joe, you use this tool. Why don't you talk about that for 10 minutes and then we'll all mess around with it for 20. You know, just kind of go through and everybody shows off something, you know?
I like it.
Makes sense.
How do you feel about symmetry in builds though, Jeb? Like obviously you're a fan of it. It's something that I keep thinking about trying to get away from, and I find it very difficult not to build with symmetry in mind.
So there's kind of two sides to that, right? A lot of my training was from industrial design, like warehouse buildings and stuff like that. So those buildings are like to a T symmetrical in some aspects, but normally when they build them, they do sort of like a front facing design. So there's like creative outlets to it, but there's also like, hey, this is a big box as well. So, but I'm also trained in like residential design as well for like housing and stuff. And that's like kind of totally different. So it really does help me, but it took a long time to get out of that. Okay, if this wall is this long, then this wall needs to be this long as well. Like it took a long time. So
yeah, I always struggle with that.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways it's kind of like music. You know, we like patterns in music.
Yeah.
It's pleasing. We like patterns visually as well. But if it's too repetitive, like the same boring beat over and over,
Yeah.
like it's no good then.
Makes sense.
That's a really smart analogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Variety
Yeah.
is the spice of life.
I mean, even to get to the points where I am today as a builder, like it took so much effort. Like I never really considered myself a good builder, but like 2 summers ago, I just, started building and practicing, and I'm to the point now to where
season 9, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody saw that jump in season 9 from you. It was incredible to watch, man. I really enjoyed watching your journey of
And-
getting those skills honed.
and I'm happy where I'm at now, because if I think like, hey, I think I want to build a boat. Pre-season 9, Jevin would have been like, wow, I don't know if that's possible. But now it's like, yeah, you know what? I think I can probably handle it. And in about 2 hours, I'll have a good mock-up. So it's like help my workflow, and just the most thing is it gives me confidence. Like, yeah, I think I could build that. So but
People always ask, like, how do you become a good builder?
practice.
Like, you got the answer
Build.
right there. Just practice.
Yep.
Yeah.
What I did was just a build a day for a very long time. I think about 2 months straight. I just practice. Another component of building that's really, really helpful is not necessarily like, okay, I built this gigantic house. It looks great. I'm going to build this over and over again. But these little tiny tools that just help you, where like you use a trap door and a stair, and it's like a really cool little aspect of the build. And you build enough
pick
and
up-
you will get a ton of those little knowledge points, right? And you're like, okay, well, maybe I can go back to that for this part of the build. And, so,
It's like little tools in your
Yep.
tool belt.
yep,
You can just store.
that's what you're looking for when you're building.
Redstone works much the same way.
Yep.
That's my next journey. I feel competent in Redstone and can handle a little bit of work, but anything past like a T flip flop, I'm out. Give me an etho hopper clock any day of the week. I can handle that fine. But
Anything more than a pressure plate, just too much. Can't handle
yeah,
it.
exactly. So
Well, I really like that vertical redstone transmission you did the other day, Etho, with the scaffolds. I actually use that in my arrow build. So yeah, thanks for putting that in your single player world episode.
your teleportation
Yeah.
system is crazy, dude. Thing is nuts.
Yeah, that's cool. I really like the Elytra launcher the most, I think.
Yeah.
It's like the most fun.
It's like casually building teleporters in Minecraft. No big deal.